Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunaham Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmani Savila Samaha Moha Grahak Grasaika Karmani. Okay, we'll read the verses that we covered last time. Verses 49 to 51. Ashastriyamapi dvaitam tīvram mandamiti dvidha kamakrodhadikam tīvram manorajyam tathetarat ubhayam tattvabodhat prang nivaryam bodha siddhaye shamas samahitatvam cha sadhaneshu shrutam yataha bodhadurdvam cha tadheyam jīvanmukti prasiddhaye kāmādiklesha bandhena yuktasya nahi muktata. So what's being said here is in Jiva Srishti. Jiva Srishti means the creation of Jiva. There's two types, right? So we saw creation of Ishvara is not a bondage for us. Let Ishvara's creation be. It's not a bondage. What the true bondage is Jiva's creation. And Jiva's creation or Jiva Srishti has two parts. One is called Shastriya and one is called Ashastriya. Shastriya means it is in line with the scriptures. It's enjoined with the scriptures. Ashastriya means it's not enjoined by the scriptures. So Shastriya Jiva Srishti is nothing but vichara or inquiry into the truth. It's Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. This is actually a good thing. This is a good thing by the Jiva, and the Jiva should engage in this to get clear knowledge about who they really are. But when does this stop or when does this end? This Shastriya Jiva Srishti is to be dropped after knowledge has been gained. So once clear, crystal knowledge has been gained, which is doubt-free, which is something that someone can hold on to, then they don't have to go again and listen. Shravanam, they don't have to do Mananam again, Nididhyasanam again. They may, but they shouldn't do these things to get knowledge. Because sometimes a doubt could be that I haven't gotten it yet, let me pursue it more. And then one gets lost in scripture. So an enlightened being can listen, but the listening is nothing but reveling in the self. Can reflect, but that's again reveling. Can close their eyes and contemplate, it's all reveling. It's not, trying to gain knowledge, trying to prove what they know, trying to show anything off. It's not for the sake of argument. It's not for any of those things. It's actually because they naturally enjoy it. And in fact, when one gains knowledge, they become silent. They don't speak too much, move too much, do too much, because they're very happy and content in their own self. So this Shastriya Jiva Srishti is to be dropped after one gains knowledge of the self. What about Ashastriya? Ashastriya Jiva Srishti is to be dropped in the beginning itself. And what is this? It's two parts now. One is called Tīvra. Tīvra means, the strong Ashastriya Srishti. and one is called manda. Manda is weak. So what is a strong one? The strong one is kamadi, desire, etc. We know with desire, several things automatically come. Anger, greed, jealousy, pride. All of these things are to be dropped in the beginning. And the weak ashastriya jiva srishti or manda is what we call manorajya or daydreaming. Taking a sankalpa, vishaya dhyanam, thinking of objects, dwelling on objects, thinking of objects in a way that we dwell on them. And we saw all of this last week. So what he's saying, Swami Vidyaranyaji, here is that we might all consider ourselves seekers. We might say we're sadhakas, but actually a true seeker is one who has dropped these two things. One who has dropped this senseless desire for other things, for the world, and one who doesn't anymore engage in dwelling so much in the outer world or outer objects. Because shama, control of mind, is directly opposed to dwelling on objects. So shama needs a sense of introversion. A sense of introversion is required for us to dwell in scriptures. But if our minds are dwelling outside, it's very difficult to become a seeker. And shama also, control of mind, means there's no kama, krodha, lobha. There's no desire, anger, jealousy. There's none of these fits happening. Because if there's these fits happening, it becomes very, very difficult. So now, here it says very clearly, this is to be dropped before coming to study. This is to be dropped before coming to study. Now, what about after one gains enlightenment? What happens? Actually, what happens is it's not that one is going to be perfectly good. There might be remnants, or what we call samskaras, of these desires, these dwelling on objects. They might be remnants of that. And that's why after one has gained knowledge, then one practices contemplative practices like samadhi. One works on themselves so that even these remnants, they die away. It's called actually just playing with the mind. And the playing with the mind is not with such an intense pressure that I have to fix the mind, I have to fix the mind. No, it's just a gentle thing that now that I've understood who I am, let me kind of play with this and make it a work of art. Because what else is there to do? What else is there to do? Might as well beautify the mind and offer it to the Lord. Now, the Purva Pakshin, the opposing side, is, saying, I don't want to give this up. I already know who I am, so I don't need to give up. If desires come, let it come. If anger comes, let it come. Jealousy comes, it's okay. I already know who I am. I don't need to give these things up. So what do we say to that kind of person? That's where we are now. We're in verse 52. jīvanmuktiriyam ma bhūt janma bhave tvaham kriti tarhi janmapi te stveva svargamatrat kriti bhavan. So here, the first line is by the Purva Pakshin, the opponent. The second line is by the siddhantin, or the Vedantin. The opponent says, jīvanmukti yam. This jīvanmukti, this liberation while living, ma abhūt. I don't want it. I don't want liberation while living. Because liberation while living means I have to engage in samadhi to quieten my mind. I have to work on my mind. I have to do vasanakshaya, lessen the vasanas. So I don't want this jīvanmukti. Forget about it. What happens? Janma abhave tu aham kriti. When one understands who they are, that means there's no more future births. So there's no more janma, there's no more future births. Because once we know, okay, I am of the nature of the self, that individuality, that doer, that enjoyer is gone. And therefore, there's no karma that can touch it. There's no action or result of action that can touch it because that individuality has completely collapsed, right? So an example is given that if somebody is in prison, and they're about to get the death penalty in, let's say, 5 days. But what happens before the 5 days, this person dies. He dies. Therefore, who gets the death penalty? He can't get it. He's already dead, right? So when one has knowledge of the self, that individuality is destroyed. The notion of individuality is destroyed. So I am this person, I am this woman, this man, this notion is completely destroyed. So one doesn't take themselves to be the jiva. One understands that they are atma. And when one doesn't take themselves to be the jiva, the past, the present, the future, all of it now cannot touch atma. The one is untouched by it. So therefore, no karma can come to that jiva. No karma can come to that jiva because that individuality is completely destroyed. So it's like whatever is happening in the dream can't affect you in waking, right? In dream, you went to a party, you had lots of food and everything like that, and you were super full. But maybe when you wake up, you're so hungry. So what happens in this waking world, waking realm, doesn't affect that Atman. So he says, I'm content with this. I'm content with knowing that I am Atman. I'm content with knowing that that individuality is destroyed and I have no more future births. So let me desire. Let me have desires. Let me go out in the world. Let me do what I want. Why do I have to get rid of these things? Let me just live life the way I want to live it. And the siddhantin says, Tarhi, okay, janmapi te astu eva, svarga matrat kriti bhavan. Then, janmapi te astu eva, let there be births for you. Svarga matrat kriti bhavan. You be happy in heavenly worlds. And what the siddhantin is trying to say is, if this is your thought process, then it's just you think you know, but you don't know yet. Because a knower of truth would never think like this. So there are many people who think they know, this reality, who think they're realized, who think they've got it. And they say, my future births are gone, but I still want to desire the world. I still want to engage in the world and do all of those things. The siddhantin is saying, you got to be kidding me. You think you know, but you don't know, because a knower of truth will never have these things. Now, the Purva Pakshin, or the one who's objecting, now says, I don't want to go to heavenly worlds and all of that because there are defects in it. You're telling me to go to heavenly worlds. I don't want to go to heavenly worlds. So this is again now in verse 53. Again, they have this conversation. So let's see what's happening here. Kshaya tishaya doshena svargo heyo yada tada svayam doshatayatmayam kamadhikim nahiyate. So earlier, the Advaitin said, Svarga matrat kriti bhavan, means kriti, may you be fulfilled with heavenly worlds, Svarga matrat. And then the one who's objecting says, Kshaya atishaya doshena Svargaha. In heavenly worlds, because there are these defects. What are the defects? Kshaya. Things are constantly decreasing. It's impermanent. And atishaya, there's gradation. Heyaha, this heavenly world is to be rejected. I don't want it. Hmm? So the Advaitin says, if that's what you're saying, you don't want the heavenly worlds because they are impermanent and they're full of gradation, then tada swayam doshatayat ma ayam kamaha kamati. This desire, it's not that it has defects. Desire is a defect. If you want to, you say you don't want heavenly worlds because they have defects, then why are you taking on desire? Desire itself is a defect. Swayam doshatayat ma. It is of the nature of defect. Ayam kamadi. Kim nahiyate? Why aren't you letting it go? Hmm? So now let's think about this. What's svarga? When we talk about these heavenly worlds, what do we really mean? So in our scriptures, it says that definitely when the jiva, when the individuality leaves the body, they take up another body. And if they've done really good karma and upasana, contemplative practices, the possibility that they go to higher worlds. But these higher worlds, once their merits, once their karmas are exhausted, again they will be reborn. So it's not something that's permanent. It's something that's absolutely temporary. When the time is up, they'll be reborn. For example, we can think of heavenly worlds as a holiday, right? We go on a holiday, we're so happy, everything's great, wonderful. But when time runs out, we're back to our homes. We're back to where we are. So these heavenly realms, they're only impermanent. They're not permanent at all. And if somebody has the notion that heavenly worlds are permanent, there's gradation. Atishaya. Atishaya means even in heavenly worlds, some people will be closer to God, some people will be further. Some people will live closer to the abode of Shiva, the abode of Vishnu. Some will live further. Some will have smaller houses, some will have bigger houses. Some will have less pleasure, some will have more pleasure. Some will be more well known, some nobody will even know. So don't think that if we go to heavenly worlds, everybody will be equal. It's not like that. Some will be, because if there's only one Shiva, one Vishnu, one divine being, and not everybody can be so close to them. So these things, there are defects in it. If you really analyze it, it's, first of all, svarga is you're waiting to get to another place to be happy, waiting for another time to be happy. And this place is impermanent and it's full of gradation. And whenever there's gradation, there's jealousy. This happens in this world also. There were two students, Vikas and Mahesh. They were studying in a gurukul. And the guru was pleased with them and gave both of them garlands, these really nice, fresh garlands. And he gave it to them to wear. And they wanted to know, who was the brightest student. So the teacher said, wear these garlands. And whoever's garland stays for a long time, then that may be the person. So this Mahesh was very calm, very peaceful, and he was trying to just work on himself. But this Vikas kept looking at Mahesh's garland every day. He kept looking, is it rotting? Is it rotting? Is it rotting? What does it look like? He's not thinking about himself. He was so jealous. He kept looking at Mahesh's garland the whole time. And before he knew it, when Vikas started looking at his own garland, it was rotting. And Mahesh's was just so pristine and beautiful. And he went to Mahesh and said, why is your garland so beautiful? Why is mine rotting so quickly? And Mahesh said, it's because you keep eyeing mine. You have the eye of jealousy. When anybody has the eye of jealousy, it creates heat, intense heat. And obviously that heat is going to make that garland rot. Instead of looking at how other people are behaving, just look at yourself. So these defects are there everywhere we go. So the Purva Pakshan says, I don't want any heavenly world. I just want to enjoy my desires in this world. But the Vedantin says, desire itself is a defect. And in fact, it's the deepest defect. When a desire comes, what does it mean actually? When a desire comes, it means I've forgotten who I am. I've forgotten that I am full, that I am whole, that I am complete, that in me everything is. I have forgotten that. And when a desire comes, it means I have forgotten that the world is nothing but an appearance that is in me. I've forgotten the falsity of the world. I'm taking the world to be real. You see this? It is like we have almost committed suicide to Atman. I've forgotten who I am. I've forgotten who I am. And now I have taken myself to be an incomplete person. I've taken myself to be a person. And I've taken the world to be real. This is what desire means. This is what desire means. This is what hope means, what want means, what thirst means. It means that I'm still fancying the world. So desire and knowledge cannot be in the same person. And remember, we studied this before, but for an enlightened being, it's not that all desires absolutely go, in the sense that the desire to eat will not go. The desire to drink will not go. Desire to sleep will not go. These natural desires are not going to go for an enlightened person. But the desire to achieve something out of incompleteness, that will go. That will go. It's a desire to achieve something out of incompleteness, that nature of desire will go. Therefore, this desire is a sign of forgetting ourselves. And when a desire comes into the mind, what happens? The mind is kidnapped. It can't think about anything else. It can't think because you're just driven by that desire. All of our dharma, what we're supposed to do at the right time, at the right place, it is not there anymore. The mind is just taken away by desire. Attention is taken away. And all of the effort and energy is not anymore put forth into seeking reality. It's put forth into pursuing that desire. So there's no more effort, there's no more energy in seeking. Oh, we're tired, too tired. Can't do japa, can't do sadhana, can't do anything, because all of our effort is gone in that desire. And what is the blessing of desire? The blessing of desire is when we get what we want, we are blessed with another desire. This is the blessing of desire. When we get what we want, we are blessed with another desire. It's not actually a blessing, it's more like a curse. And it pushes us out again and again and again and again. And as we know, when we get what we want, we develop pride, we develop greed. That, I got this, now I want more. Or I got this, now I am so great, I've achieved so many things. And if we don't get it, we become angry and we become really jealous. So either way, we're falling down. The only desire to entertain is those desires which make us grow out of other desires. So So the desire to study scripture makes us grow out of worldly desires. The desire to do sadhana, spiritual practice, it makes us grow out of worldly desires. So as we're seeking, those desires are absolutely fine to entertain. But this person says, I just want to live in desire. So we have to be very, very careful. Right? That enlightened beings, they are sadhu. They have to become saints. They're not people who are after money and power and lust. So he says here, why don't you let go of desire? It's even worse. Now, more, he says, Tattvam buddhvapi kamadi nishesham na jahasi chet yatheshtacharanam te syat karma shastrati langinaha. He says, Tattvam buddhvapi. He says, after gaining knowledge, Tattvam buddhvapi. So this, after gaining knowledge, kamadi nishesham na jahasi chet. If you haven't left desire completely, these desires arising out of incompleteness, if you have not left that completely, yateshta charanam te syat, and you just do whatever you want to do. Yatha, yate, yate, yateshtacharanam. Yateshtacharanam is you just live a licentious life. You just do what you feel like doing. Then karma shastrati langinaha. You transgress all of the scriptures. So if you think that, when you gain this knowledge and it's okay not to leave all of these desires, and you're acting just as you feel like, you're actually transgressing the Shastra. You're actually insulting the Shastra. You shouldn't live like this. He's kind of like shaking him up. What kind of life are you living? And he says, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to tell you what kind of life you're living. Buddhadvaitasvatatvasya yatheshtacharanam yadi shunam tatvadrisham chaiva ko bhedo shuchi bhakshane. Says, Buddhadvaitasvatatvasya, of the one who knows the truth as their own self. Buddha Advaita Svatatvasya, the one who knows the truth as their own self. Yateshta charanam yadi. Yateshta charanam. If they just do what they feel like doing, shunam tattva drisham chaiva, then they are like a dog. Shunam, they're like a dog. Tattva drisham. They are seen like a dog. Ko bhedaha. What is the difference between the two? Ashuchi bhakshane. Because both are eating unclean things. You know that the dog basically eats fecal matter, right? So he's saying, what's the difference between this person and a dog? You're a dog. He tells this person, because you're not enlightened, actually, you're pretending to be enlightened. And that's the worst. See, when we are able to accept our flaws, that's a very strong thing. There are people who pretend that they're perfect, that nothing is wrong with them. They're absolutely brilliant, absolutely amazing. Nothing can happen with those people. And they feel like, because I'm Atman, I'm the non-doer, I'm the non-enjoyer, nothing can touch me. I'm unattached. I'm above and beyond everything. They feel like they've got it. But let me tell you, the minute something hits them hard, they're back to square one. But there are those beautiful saints and sages who, even if they're enlightened, they say, you know what? Let me still work on this mind. Let me purify it. Let me make it an offering to divinity. When we think of people like Adi Shankaracharya ji, who was clearly enlightened, what did he do? He wrote stotrams. He sang. He sings to the Divine Mother. I don't know how to do japa. I don't know how to do puja. I don't know how to chant mantra. I don't know how to go on tirtha. My only refuge is you. Gatistwam, twameka bhavani. He says, I am a kami. I'm a desirer. I'm a krodhi. I'm somebody who gets angry. I don't know what to do. Gatistwam, twameka bhavani. This is what they do. They write hymns. He writes a hymn on forgiveness. Please forgive me because all of these times of my life, I have forgotten about you. Please always help me remember you. So an enlightened being shows so much love, so much devotion because they're so grateful for what they've received. If an enlightened being acts like this, that they're, totally doing whatever they're doing, that is not enlightenment. It is true that in our shāstras, that an enlightened being is above and beyond dharma. They are above and beyond dharma. But that's only because they have come to such an exalted level of living a dharmic life. They have lived a dharmic life for so long that they are above dharma and adharma. Nobody can tell them what's dharma and adharma because they have lived a dharmic life so long that what they naturally do is dharma. Enlightenment only happens to somebody who has become naturally sattvic. That's when it happens. It does not happen to a tamasic mind. It does not happen to a rajasic mind. It happens to somebody who naturally exudes goodness, because then it takes root. And here, see, there's a difference between just knowing and realizing. Now, what happens here is when the student, let's say, is in a Vedanta setting, in a satsang, and let's say at that time, their mind is incredibly pure, and because of the blessings and grace of the Guru and Bhagavan, they're able to get that knowledge. They're able to know it. They've got it. It's on their fingertips. They know it, right? But the problem is they can't hold on to it. So that's not called realization. That's just a glimpse. That's just having a glimpse of it. And everybody starts with that glimpse. If we don't have that glimpse, we have nothing to reflect on, nothing to contemplate on. So that glimpse is essential. So if one thinks, I've got the glimpse, I'm done, we're on the wrong track. Having gotten that glimpse, having been blessed with that glimpse, nurture it to become realization. And we know it's realization when it's as natural as breathing. Goodness is as natural as breathing. And one truly feels in their heart. We know it's realization because one truly feels in their heart that they are free from all of these desires. They are free from fear. They have nothing to gain and they have nothing to lose. When one has that type of fearlessness, nothing to gain, nothing to lose. So if people want to take things away from them, they're absolutely fine. And they do not hanker for anything in life because they've gotten what they already wanted. So that's how we know that the realization is true. It's true because the desires fall off. It's true because there's a sense of fearlessness. It's true because there's nothing to lose and there's nothing to gain. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, there's a portion called Sthita Prajna Lakshana. And it indicates there all the qualities of somebody who has realized, who is steady in wisdom. That person has the ability to be equanimous. You know, so many times in our scriptures, we talk about having equanimity. Why is it that we can't be equanimous in situations? Why is it that we still expect results or insist or want results to happen in a certain way? It's because we think that we're still incomplete and that result could complete us. It's because we still take the world to be real. Only somebody who's really complete inside can be equanimous. Because they know whatever that result is, it's not going to complete them. So real equanimity only comes with realization. So he says, look, if you think, you know, and you're still indulging in this world and senseless desires and dwelling on the outside world, you're like a dog. There's no difference. A dog is eating their own feces or feces of other animals. You're eating the dust of the world. There's absolutely no difference. And this is this verse is so beautiful. Sureshwaracharya ji really hits it home. And then Swami Vidyaranya ji says, he gives a very sarcastic remark. What does he say? We'll see here. In verse number 56, he says, Bodhat pura mano dosha matrat klishna syatha ashesha loka ninda cheti ahote bodha vaibhavam. He says, oh, so great is your knowledge. Aho te bodha vaibhavam. How glorious is your knowledge. In a sarcastic tone, he says it. Why? Bodhat pura mano dosha matrat klishnasi. He says, before knowledge, right, you suffered klishnasi. You suffered what? Manodosha. You suffered the pain of your own mental imperfections before knowledge, right? Atha adhuna. And now, ashesha loka ninda cheti. What are you suffering? The whole world is criticizing you. This is your suffering. Therefore, how great is your knowledge? So look at that. Your knowledge before you suffered your mental pangs and everything in your mind. This was before knowledge. And now you're still suffering. You're still suffering because imagine if one poses to be an enlightened being and then indulges in so many things. Everybody will criticize them. The whole world will criticize them. The whole world will say, what kind of person is this? Why are they doing this? Why are they not doing this? One says, what kind of knowledge is this? People get turned off. People say, I don't want to come to Vedanta. If this is the Vedanta that you're studying, I'm totally turned off. And what's worse is when somebody like this comes to the tradition or comes to the path and they say that they're enlightened and declare themselves that way, it's a stain on the whole lineage, on the parampara. When there's one unruly person who just goes another way, it's a stain. And sadly, that stain is very hard to go. We all know, these stains are very hard to go. I remember I went to one place and something happened with that, whoever the head was there. And it happened years ago, years ago. But you could still see that it had an effect. And we don't see the consequences of our actions, but to some, they can be very traumatizing. To some, it could be very hurtful. Huh? So it not only stains that person, but it stains the entire tradition. I mean, we've seen, right? So many religions, it happens that the religious people, it happens that they pose to be a certain way, but inside something else is happening there. They should just go do something else. A true enlightened being has so much fullness about what they've gotten, so much contentment, that they have nothing but love and respect for the Guru Parampara and the Shastra. They have nothing but love and respect. So when they conduct themselves, they know that everything is an offering to that lineage. I'm so grateful for that lineage. That is their feeling, that I want to be an abhushana. I want to be an ornament to that lineage. That lineage has given me so much. These scriptures have given me so much. Let me at least do something for them. Let me at least be something for them. Let me at least bring out their glory in whatever way that I can, because what I've received is invaluable. That's the feeling of a Mahatma. That's the feeling of an enlightened being. So they're very careful in the way they conduct themselves. That with them, in and through them, they're carrying the whole parampara. So therefore, Swami Vidyaranyaji says, this is really unacceptable. This is what one might think is knowledge. It's actually not knowledge. It's absolute ignorance. Knowledge makes us silent, makes us full, it makes us complete, it makes us grateful, and it makes us pure. When we realize that the whole world is just one, that is the root. And what sprouts from that is all the values. Compassion comes because I feel we are one. Patience comes because we feel we are one. Acceptance comes because we feel we are one. That naturally comes. So if all of this desire, anger, greed, lust, if all of it is still coming, it means I'm still seeing two. I'm still recognizing two. And I've lost sight of what it truly means to know who I am. Mm-hmm. So we'll stop with this verse today. Yeah, I'll just recap a little bit here. What is happening now is this Purva Pakshin, or this objector says, I don't want jīvanmukti. I don't want liberation while living. I don't want this kind of thing. I already know who I am, and that's enough. I know I'm Atman. I know I'm the self in all. And let me deal with that. Let me just have that, okay? And let me have my own desires. Let me live life the way I want to live. Let me do that. And the Vedantin says, if that's what you want to do, why don't you just be born again and enjoy it? Why do you want to break free from the cycle? Come back into the world and go to heavenly worlds, and by all means enjoy there. Because clearly there's still this need to enjoy. Remember, the need to enjoy is ignorance. And so this objector says, I don't want to go to heavenly worlds because there are defects there. Right? It's impermanent, there's gradation, it's to be left. I don't want all of that. And the Advaitin says, you don't want to go to heavenly worlds because they are defects. Desire itself is a defect. Wake up. So, if you think that you are liberated, please, you're not. That is not what an enlightened being does. An enlightened being does not live with all of these desires and live a licentious life. If that's what you want to do, you might as well be a dog. There's no difference between you and a dog. And if this is the knowledge that you have gained, what kind of knowledge is it? Before, we were plagued with all of these mental afflictions, and now you're plagued with criticism. So clearly, somewhere, this person has gotten lost. Now, slowly, again, there'll be more objections, but slowly we'll come back to the path. More we will take up next week. Now, we'll say the closing prayer here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.